their team. Levante Kermit Whitfield back deep with Carlos Williams. Boston College won the toss and deferred, so Freeze kicks off with the breeze at his back. Pitt set the single game completion percentage record at Florida State. Sorry, Danny Cannell, our friend and colleague, whose record he broke.
And those throws are downfield too. Those aren't those little bubble screens.
Yeah, it's not a lot of dink and dunk that he's completing. He comes out and has it for attacking style of defense this year for Boston College under this new coaching staff. On 2nd and 10, Winston a lot of time and a deep throw, and it's almost intercepted.
And keeping Florida State in the 3rd and 10.
See if the defensive coordinator Don Brown sends his Eagle defenders after Winston. They've already surpassed their sack total from all of last season in just 3 games. They have 9 sacks. They had 6 last year. They do rush 5, and Winston's in trouble and down back of the year. Good for a loss of 11. Case and Beatty punts. Low line drive. Spiffy Evans dropped it for a moment at the 45. Turns the corner. And his deep starter, senior, making his 36th career start at quarterback for Boston College, native of Southern California. They go right to Andre Williams, trying to establish that run, and Florida State.
Traps that Boston College likes to implement in their offense.
So a lot of formations that look like goal line, even in the middle of the field. A quick toss. Alex Amidon, by far their best receiver. Nice run after the catch here. And a timeout called by Boston College.
There was some confusion.
By formation behind Redding. Williams has the first down just inside.
Jalen's number 13 right here. Now we'll see what he does in run responsibility. That's a different position as opposed to playing corner.
Out of the pistol, Williams with some room, running right. Made it to the 20-yard line. Impressive enough. He started the opening game as a true freshman at cornerback, as he predicted he would over the summer. Today moved to safety.
Got a non-balanced line. 5 guys to the right.
Williams breaks tackles and has another first down. He is a powerful runner.
Comes to center, so your 3 technique is lined up on the tackle, and your 1 technique's lined up on the guard to the 5-man side.
Well, these formations resemble what Stanford does, and that's by design. Williams straight.
They adjusted to the talent that they have. It's a good job by those guys.
That's what good coaching's all about.
Yep.
And they're trying to win as many games as they can with what they have right now, while recruiting for the future. Williams again lowers the shoulder, and he's about 1.5 yards short. Senior, he comes in for Jernigan. 3rd down and 2 from the 6. Design roll by Redding. Throwback near side of the field, and it is caught. Touchdown, C.J. Parsons. On this play on 3rd down and 2 from the Noles 6.
It's actually kind of a tight end hide screen. You're going to see CJ sit there and hold it. And P.J. Williams does a good job of picking him up and play man-to-man, but the big body kind of blocks out P.J. Williams. And Parsons just goes up and makes a play with his hands. P.J. lost.
Parents weekend crowd fired up. They're still filing in. Nate Freeze kicks off again and bangs it to. The Eagles were going to run it right at them, and they proved they could do it, at least in that first possession. Devontae Freeman carries on.
I'll worry about what went wrong in the film room, so we'll see how that plays out now.
4 plays for minus 12 yards for the Noles. Winston going deep as a man open. It's Kelvin Benjamin all the way to the box.
Speed beats speed, and Asprilla cannot hang with the big body of Benjamin in a well-thrown ball.
First down of the game for Florida State, their 2nd possession. 6 minutes in. Winston on the roll, and a nice catch by Rashad Green.
And his feet on the ground and hand catching.
Devontae Freeman and James Wilder both in the game now on either side of Winston. It's a blitz. Freeman got by Kevin Pierre. They've had since he's been there 4 years now as the head coach, 3 before that as the offensive coordinator and coach in waiting. Oops. Movement at the left end of the line. Nick O'Leary started up the field, the tight end.
Full start. Offense from 35. 5-yard penalty. Second down.
More confusion on the Florida State side. Jimbo Fisher doubles as his own offense. The Seminoles, brought to you by Chick-fil-A.
Devontae Freeman, tough inside runner. Nick O'Leary, dangerous receiver in the red zone, likes to get open, can get open. And on defense, Telvin Smith, the quarterback of the Seminoles, on the defensive side.
2nd and 10 out of the Florida State timeout. They're at the BC 25. Another 5-man rush. Winston stayed on his feet, and they yank him down after about a very successful head coach at Northeastern and UMass. 3rd down and 7. They're 0 for 1 on 3rd down. Pressure again and a throw over the middle.
Duke coming into this game, Coach Brown.
40-yard try for the redshirt freshman Roberto Aguayo, who's not missed a kick yet in college football, and he still hasn't. Would love them to come into the stadium and support the team.
Well, don't let us interrupt your good time out there. Get in here.
Aguayo kicks off to David Dudek. And Reddick and the Eagles come up in another power formation with Andre Williams, the running back. He carried 6 times of the 8 plays on that opening drive. Up the middle for a hard-earned yard.
Wow.
Team flying out under the radar in terms of the national picture. Florida State is as well. Sitting there at number 8, well positioned to be a factor in the national picture at the end of the year. Andre Williams carried. Timmy Jernigan was back into the game for Florida State. Made the tackle at the 29. 3rd down and 6.
It's a manageable down for Reddick and the Eagle offense. You just want to avoid those 3rd longs. Now, if you're Florida State, you got to take out number 83, Amadon. That's his favorite target. He's down here. Right there.
And trying to scheme to get receivers open, because athletically it's tough for them to get open against a team like Florida State. Reddick got it knocked out of his hand. Takes off running. Wasn't a work of art, but he got there to the 40-yard line, chased by LaMarcus Joyner. They've been after Chase Reddick to pull it down and run when he has a chance to move the chains. He needed 6 and got 11.
Well, again, there's no panic when you're a veteran. And you said, John, it's not a work of art, but again, keeping the chains moving, and that's what they want to do, is stay on schedule. And if he has to use his feet, they want him to do that just like he did.
He looked like some of those tailgaters coming in off of Shea Field. Here's Alex Amadon leaping. And he's out to the 46-yard line. He got 6. Former sprint champion in high school here in New England, out of Greenfield, Massachusetts, in the western part of the state. 21 catches this year, 78 last year, set the BC single season record. Williams across the 50 and down to the 42-yard line of Florida State, where Christian Jones made the tackle.
Well, they're going a little bit of tempo right now, and he got a good block by Harris Williams. And one of the strengths is that this offensive line sustains blocks, and they play through the whistle, which sprung Williams around that corner.
37 yards on 9 carries for Williams. A little bit of an option look there. Reddick kept it. Ducked down to the 39 for a gain of 3. Steve Addazio talked about the fact that they put a few wrinkles into the game plan this week. When you're playing an opponent like this, you might have to dig deep into the playbook, and they have a couple of quote-unquote trick plays that they might use today.
I think you have to, because of the lack of explosion at the skilled positions. You have to create explosive plays, and one way to do that is out scheme or run the trick plays, reverses, screens, things like that. True
freshman running back Miles Willis, they think has a bright future, is in. Stayed in to block. Here's a throw back to the tight end. Brian Miller, one of those wrinkles we were talking about, and he's inside the 15-yard line. Just the second catch of the year for Miller, sophomore wide receiver out of Andover, Massachusetts, and it goes for 26.
Now right on cue right here. This is an excellent job of Chase Reddick of selling it and being patient. And you see him come out, and it's just a well-executed play. And right on cue, as you said, as they come up to the line of scrimmage, you got to out-trick him and create explosive plays with your scheme.
Listed as a wide receiver, they lined him up in a tight end spot. Have a more athletic player on the receiving end of that play. Williams in trouble behind the line. Did well to turn it into a gain of 1. Telvin Smith, another tackle, senior linebacker from Valdosta, Georgia. And a late flag is thrown.
See Telvin Smith getting on Eddie Goldman.
Personal foul, defense, after the play has ended. After this is a goal, automatic first down.
Do not call it is because number 35 is being blocked, but the officials are saying that the ball hit an Iowa player first, so there is no, it did, in fact.
There's Jeremy Pruitt, the new defensive coordinator. Came over from Alabama, where he's the defensive backs coach. Replaced Mark Stoops, who left to be the head coach at Kentucky. First and goal, Boston College. Another time-consuming drive. Williams to the 4-yard line. Jacoby McDaniel helped drive him back.
Look at this defense, Sean. They made the switch to a 3-4, but they also like to run an even front or a 4-3. And sometimes when you do that, there can be confusion along that defensive front of gap responsibility.
Dating back to last year, the ACC championship game against Georgia Tech, the defense has not allowed more than 1 touchdown in a game to the opposing offense. BC trying to score its 2nd touchdown of this opening quarter. Jake Sinkovic in at fullback. He goes in the flat. Touchdown, Boston College.
Well, they were excited to have him back. And this is why. Good hands out of the backfield. You're going to go to the flat. Now Smith, number 22, is going to have a shot to make a play. But Sinkovic does a good job of planting and ducking underneath there. And again, well executed.
Extra point good by Nate Freeze. 2 touchdown passes by Chase Reddick. On a perfect day in Chestnut Hill, Massachusetts. Just about a perfect start for the Beast. Alumni Stadium is alive. Boston College leading 14-3. We talked earlier about the enthusiasm and energy of Steve Addazio. This was just a moment ago. The head coach on the Boston College sideline.
He has a background as an offensive line coach, and when he sees his offensive line winning like that, that fires him up. And you know, his energy is the player's energy, especially if you're a program that was down. They see he has energy, they feed off of that.
And it's not fake. I mean, we talked to him yesterday. He wanted to go hit somebody in our meeting. Probably me. You and he would have been a fair matchup. I wouldn't like my chances against Coach Addazio. Another good kickoff by Nate Freeze. Here's Robert Flores.
All right, Sean, let's get an update on LSU and Georgia between the hedges. Zach Mettenberger to Cadron Boone, but Aaron Murray has just thrown a touchdown pass, and the Bulldogs a point away from tying this game late in the first quarter.
All right, Robert, thank you. Steve Addazio's decision to defer paid off. 3 good kickoffs with the win, all for touchbacks from Freeze. Defense did its job on that first series. And the short punt by Florida State into the wind was a factor in the first PC score. Devontae Freeman gets 5. Tackled by Caleb Ramsey.
This is a good test for Jameis Winston on the road, down 14-3. A young quarterback, and we'll see how he responds to adversity early on.
He's been widely praised for his poise, his intellect. Hands it off. Freeman in trouble. Eagles think the ball came out. Stephen Daniels made the play at the line of scrimmage. Florida State has the ball. It'll be 3rd down and about 6 for Jimbo Fisher.
Stephen Daniels is a player that's getting better and better and better, and I like how he comes in with his eyes up. See that right arm? That's a trained football player trying to rake that ball out of there. It's getting better and better each week.
It was a fumble. Freeman got it back. He's from Cincinnati, Stephen Daniels, out of St. Xavier, the same school that sent Luke Kuechly to Boston College. Great player in the NFL Defensive Rookie of the Year last year for Carolina. 3rd down 5. Here comes another 5-man rush. Winston has time and threw a floater too high over the middle. Intended for Kenny Shaw. Rossitano had the coverage. Seminoles are 0 for 3 on 3rd down. They'll punt with a half a minute to go in the first quarter.
Well, they got to make adjustments to their hot reads on blitz routes. The pressure's coming and the routes are too far downfield, and you're throwing into the safeties who are robbing the routes. You got to run quick slants and little hitches to give your quarterback time to get rid of the football and away from the defensive backs and safeties.
Randy Sanders, the quarterback's coach there, another first-year member of this staff. Kason Beatty got a little more height on that one. The wind knocks it down. Spiffy Evans made a fair catch at the 37. 33-yard punt. Boston College defense has helped Florida State to just 52 yards here in the first quarter. Proximity to downtown Boston, gorgeous setting, and the coaches will be happy that now most of the tailgaters have made their way in from Shea Field to Alumni Stadium. They were close enough to hear the roars.
Yeah.
And what's been going on? BC controlling the first quarter against the 8th-ranked Seminoles. Boston College ball leading 14-3. Andre Williams up the middle. He got 5 on 1st down. That will likely be the last play of the first quarter. And these fans showing their appreciation. End of 1. Boston College had the ball for more than 9 minutes in that first quarter. And the Eagles lead 14-3. You're watching the ACC on ESPN. After 1 quarter here in Chestnut Hill, Massachusetts, Boston College leads undefeated Florida State 14-3, the most points the Eagles have scored in the first quarter since their opener last year. And against Miami, they're averaging 18 points per game this year. Andre Williams rips through a hole. Great balance. And he is yanked down inside the 30 of Florida State by P.J. Williams.
Well, it starts off with a great job of a pulling center, which is difficult to do, who's going to lead the way for Andre Williams, knocking down Christian Jones, number 7. And you see the power, the thick thighs, the toughness of Andre Williams, running with passion and purpose. A good block by Gallick, getting out there. Center pulling is tough to do, Sean.
This offensive line doing great work for BC. 30-yard gain, 1 yard short of the longest run of the year for Boston College. Williams. Now, one of the things BC is going to have to do, Chris, is keep Andre Williams healthy. They really don't have anybody behind him. And Steve Adazio said that's been one of the dilemmas as the coach. You want to establish a mindset of toughness. You need to do that in practice, but you can't knock each other around in practice because they don't have a lot of depth and they really can't get any of their key players hurt.
You can hear, especially him. I mean, he makes it go because he's the identity of this football team, which is a downhill physical football team that runs the ball. You don't want to get the toter of the mail hurt.
Carried 14 times already for 77 yards. Carried 35 times in their win against Wake Forest. when he went for a career-high 204 yards. BC has defeated Villanova and Wake Forest. They lost last week at USC. Open in the near side is Alex Amadon. He's very close to another first down. They're going to mark it at the 18-yard line. Shoved out by P.J. Williams. It is a first down for Boston College.
It's all about coaching and all about game plan. Two guys you have to stop. Amadon catching the ball and Williams running the ball. And Florida State hasn't stopped either. That's execution of the game plan. It's a good job by Ryan Day, the offensive coordinator.
Better than 2-to-1 advantage. Just about a 2-to-1 advantage in time of possession for BC. I thought they'd be able to throw play-action passes off the successful running game. Redding's 5 for 5 throwing for 54 yards and 2 touchdowns. Here's Miles Willis trying to give Williams a breather. No gain on the play. Telvin Smith made another tackle. And Andre Williams got a very brief breather.
And Florida State, what they're doing to slow down that running game. Well, you're going to slow down Coach Adazio if you don't get those signs taken care of. He showed pretty good quicks getting up, though.
Yeah.
Not bad. Don't stay on the ground.
Good balance.
But they're selling people out for the run, Sean.
Mm-hmm. And on the delay to Williams again. Another good cut. He's inside the 10-yard line. Knocked the helmet off of Niall Lawrence Stample, who made the stop. And here's another big third down. 3rd and 2 for BC. They're 3 for 3 on third down today.
And the problem is that Stample made a nice play, but if you're the nose guard, you don't want to make the play 7 yards down the field. And that's what's happening, is that offensive line is winning the battle up front and pushing the big fellas of the Seminoles.
Temperature right around 70 degrees. How about that number? 105 rushing yards to 1. Huge reason why they have the big advantage in time of possession. Williams again. Hit behind the line. Churns near the first down. Looks like he's just short. Timmy Jernigan had him around the legs. And here's a decision for Steve Adazio. Yesterday he said every time we get down there we need to get points. And even though he has it going his way, true to what he said yesterday, he's going to take the points.
I like the call. I really do. You get points when you can get points, especially against a powerful offense. You want to get as many as you can. This is a disciplined call by Coach Adazio.
Don't get caught up in the moment. Nate Freese, an excellent kicker, makes the 24-yarder. He's at 83% for his career, 5th best in the country among active kickers. And the lead now 17-3 for BC. Here's a look at our Pacific Life game summary from Chestnut Hill, Massachusetts. Boston College leading 8th-ranked Florida State 17-3. They really, Chris, have dominated in every facet, executing their game plan to perfection. They've had 3 possessions. They've gone touchdown, touchdown, and field goal.
And they have to stay focused, because I'm telling you, this Florida State team on offense is explosive in all areas. Running the football, throwing the ball down the field. And Jameis Winston, the first time he's really faced adversity personally for himself this season.
Freese, his 4th touchback in as many kickoffs. And here's Shannon Spake.
Well, when Jameis Winston was on the bench just moments ago, Coach Fisher came over. He discussed that last drive with his young quarterback, just tried to reassure him. Then the quarterback coach, Randy Sanders, came over. He was talking to Winston. I heard him say, poise, confidence, and you have 3 quarters remaining.
Leading the nation in completion percentage, coming in 78%, but just 2 out of 6 today.
You know, and that's the right thing to do with a young quarterback. You don't want to hammer him. And I think they can help them, Sean. On those zone blitzes on 3rd downs, they have to run shorter routes because BC's defense is dropping 10 yards and they're breaking on the ball, and he's thrown into coverage.
Starts under center with James Wilder, the running back. Play fake to him. Winston has room as he pulled it down. Gain of 4, run down by Steele DeVito, their 2nd leading tackler for the year. And from the very beginning, it's been a rough start for Winston. His first pass of the day was batted down. They've been bringing pressure. Steady diet of 5-man rushes, dialed up by Don Brown. Winston throws far sideline. Receiver's way out of bounds. Flag thrown as there was contact between Rashad Green and Manuel Asprilla. And they were both way out of bounds.
Pass interference, defense number 21. Penalty will be accepted. Automatic down.
Well, Asprilla really is in good position, so he has to try to avoid contact as Coach Dazio's out there and apparently doesn't agree with the call. But when you look at it, he's in good position. First of all, he's patient. He has that right hand up there, and he's kind of pushing him out of bounds where he doesn't need to do that. You're in position, have the discipline to get the hand off the body.
Four-man rush. Winston has time, going for Rashad Green, who's wide open. Touchdown, Florida State. "56 yards for Green. That's 5 straight games with at least 1 touchdown reception now for the junior. And Roberto Aguayo on to add the extra point. He still hasn't missed a kick in college football. Rashad Green is 4th touchdown reception of the year. There goes 75 yards in just 44 seconds. It's a 1-score game.
ESPN College Football, brought to you by UPS. Let UPS put the power of logistics to work for you.
The Boston Fish Pier you saw on the sign opened in 1914. The best seafood in the world right here in one of the world's great cities, Boston, Massachusetts. Site of an exciting ACC battle today. Florida State on the long touchdown, back within a score. Roberto Aguayo kicks off. Miles Willis, the freshman, just did stay in the end zone. David Dudek providing the counsel. True freshman wanted to run it out. They'll take the 25-yard line. Well, after that touchdown, Steve Adazio asked into his headset what happened, and here's the answer for the coach.
Well, Sean Sylvia right here can help himself by alignment. With this alignment, he cannot run a 7 cut. He's got to work his way back inside. And what happens is you're going to see the double move. That alignment doesn't give him room to run that corner route. He's going to work back inside, and you have to trust it by his pre-snap alignment. Sylvia bit.
As we come live, Florida State's defense was still coming on the field as BC snapped the ball. The Eagles went very quickly, and Williams ran for 15 yards. And there is a flag down on the play. Jimbo Fisher's way out onto the field. Apparently these officials are going to let each head coach go as far onto the field as he wants today. We saw Dazio moments ago way inside the numbers, and Jimbo Fisher's almost to the hash marks himself.
Legal substitution by the defense. Penalty will be declined. First down.
BC came out, ran up right over the ball. And you can see the confusion.
People ask why there's confusion. A lot of times, and Jeremy Pruitt does this, they try to match personnel. They just didn't have their personnel in line with what BC had in the huddle.
Williams over 100 yards rushing now, 101. Ran into his own man. He got stacked up for a 1-yard loss. Terrence Brooks up from his safety spot to force the play. Here's Robert Flores.
Hey, Sean, nominee for All-America Player of the Week presented by AT&T. And how about West Virginia quarterback Clint Trickett? 309 yards, a touchdown as West Virginia bounces back and upsets number 11 Oklahoma State. You can text VOTE to 34763. Sean.
Of course, Clint Trickett, the former Florida State Seminole, transferred. His dad, Rick Trickett's the offensive line coach here at Florida State. Miles Willis, the freshman, out to the 43. There's Rick Trickett, one of the best offensive line coaches in the country. His son had a year of eligibility left. Pretty obvious he wasn't going to beat up Jameis Winston. They had a spirited battle. Jacob Coker is the backup, and they say that went all the way to the end of summer practice before they settled on Winston. That'll give you an idea of how talented Coker is.
You look at Florida State across the board, just depth upon depth, talent everywhere.
3rd down and 7. Redding is 6 for 6 passing. Takes off running and gets collared by Jernigan, well short of the first down.
The first 3 and out for the Seminole defense, and we told you before the last series started how quick this team can strike. Jameis Winston has some confidence. We'll see if they can do it again.
Nate Freese on to punt. Kenny Shaw back deep. Freese went down. The crowd wants a flag. There is none. Fair catch made by Shaw. Going to mark it at the 19-yard line. 36-yard punt by Freese. It's time for today's Aflac trivia question. Aflac. First year of this stadium was 1957. We want to know which team did Boston College beat to record the Eagles' first home win in this stadium, which has been expanded and renovated over the years. Now about 44,000 the capacity. 1st and 10, Florida State. Blitz off the corner by Boston College. James Wilder Jr. ahead to the 21, tripped up by Caleb Ramsey, who's had a strong first half. The defensive end, senior from Uniontown, Pennsylvania, missed most of the last 2 years with injuries. Wilder remains the running back. Into the gun, Jameis Winston. Faked it to Wilder. He's pressured, steps up and gets dropped and taken down at the 19-yard line.
They're going to show a 3-man pressure. You're going to see right here, still DeVito's going to come late. And when you can get pressure with just 4, Sean, you see the little delayed blitz by DeVito and able to close. They're getting pressure with 3 and 4. That plays perfectly because you can have more guys in coverage to take away the strong wide receiving core of the Seminoles offense.
Eddie Abdesmad credited with the 2nd sack of the day for BC. 3rd down and 10. Winston sets up a screen for Wilder, and he stopped short of the first down by about 2 yards. Stephen Daniels made the tackle. So Florida State trying to keep the momentum on its side after the long score in its last possession. They go 3 and out this time.
A great play by Stephen Daniels. Actually hurdled a guy that went down for the cut block. He didn't go for it, jumped over and made the tackle.
Spiffy Evans back for the punt from Kason Beatty. 4th down and 3. Boston College sets up a return. Best punt by Beatty today. Evans made the first man miss. Now has some blockers on the near sideline. He's across midfield and yanked out of bounds near the 40-yard line of Florida State. Steve Adazio lamenting yesterday they don't have a lot of dynamic return men in the kicking game. Spiffy has been aptly named today.
But they have a dynamic scheme, and they just have a wall return where everybody clears out the hash. And Jacoby McDaniel, big number 55, the defensive tackle playing on punt team, maybe has a touchdown saving tackle.
2 longest punt returns of the year for BC have come today. That one's 33 yards, the longest of the season. Jace Reddick and the Boston College offense, 1st and 10 at the Seminoles 40. Reddick keeps. And they probably don't want him doing that very often. Timmy Jernigan made the stop after a gain of about 1.5 yards. 6 minutes to go in the first half. BC has not trailed in this game, led by 14 points, 17-3. Still nearly a 2-to-1 time of possession advantage for Boston College. Williams trying to find room, and he is stacked up for a loss back at the 41. Led by Chris Kasher, the redshirt freshman, and Terrence Brooks. And here's Shannon.
Well, one thing's for sure, Sean, is the communication with this Florida State defense is incredible. Every single guy part of the conversation with the defensive coordinator when they're sitting on the bench. And a few minutes ago, Jimbo Fisher came over and he said, boys, it is gut check time. Let's see how strong you are.
They're doing a better job of responding to the run. What they're doing now is pushing that offensive line of the Eagles back, forcing Williams to run sideways as opposed to downhill.
3rd down and 11. 5 receivers. Again, they'll have to get open by scheme more than likely. Reddick throws, incomplete rather, almost intercepted by P.J. Williams. Intended for Alex Amidon, as you might expect. And what will Coach Adazio do on 4th down and 11? Looks like they'll punt.
Yeah, P.J. Williams does a good job of taking you out, and that's athleticism right there. They'll turn your hips and close on the football for PBU. Possible interception would have set up better field position. He had both hands on that ball, and Florida State will get off this punt.
Nate Freeze on to punt. Williams helping to knock it down. Landed inside the 5. The Eagles couldn't keep it out of the end zone. Time to answer today's Aflac trivia question. Want to know the first team Boston College defeated in Alumni Stadium's first year, 1957. The answer, Florida State. The second game here, BC lost its home opener to Navy, then beat the Seminoles 20-7 behind Coach Mike Hollaback. Don Allard was the quarterback, threw for 147 yards and a touchdown. Lee Corso, a graduate assistant coach at his alma mater. A blitz on 1st down. Jameis Winston has time, dumps it down to Rashad Green, who got smacked from behind but got a 1st down to the 31-yard line. Eddie Abdesbad put a good hit on Green, who held on, and the Seminoles go quickly to the line of scrimmage.
You like to see your defensive lineman hustling down and make a play downfield after a completion. Abdesbad did an excellent job of converging.
Winston time again, and another open receiver. Nick O'Leary, the tight end, to the 45. Back-to-back big gains of double figures. That's for 14 for O'Leary, his first catch of the ball game.
And we're seeing Jameis Winston get into rhythm. That's when he operates at his highest. He's got some confidence now. The coaches did a good job of managing him, not to panic, and now you see the confidence come out in those last 2 throws.
4 minutes to go, 2 timeouts left in the half for each team. Winston zings one near side, caught, another 1st down. 3 straight pass plays and 3 1st downs. This one to Kenny Shaw to the Boston College 43. Gain of 12.
And this is the big time throw, Sean, from the opposite hash to the out, and it's right on target. And Kenny Shaw, easy catch to run transition because the ball was right in place.
Winston steps up. He's across the line of scrimmage. 4 plays, 4 1st downs, and he slides down at the 23-yard line.
Watch his eyes. Now he's going to wait to decide because he's always looking to make the throw down the field. Then he realizes that I have superior athletic ability, and this is the smart thing, getting the old baseball player out in him, doing the slide into second base.
He's a 2-sport athlete at Florida State, outfielder and pitcher on the baseball team. Got 20 yards on the run. Not known as a dynamic runner, but effective there. Just a 4-man rush again. Winston couldn't find anybody. He's across the line of scrimmage. And got tackled by Bryce Jones along the near sideline. Remember, there's a well-chronicled story about Winston when he was in high school. After his 9th grade year, went to the Alabama football camp and ran a 4.9 in the 40. And Nick Saban commented on how slow he was. He came back the very next year after working hard to improve his running and his speed, ran a 4.6, and they had him run it a couple times because they didn't believe how much improved he was over the previous year.
He's definitely a hard worker.
2nd and 3. A touchdown to tie for the Noles. Chad Abram, the fullback, has a first down and powers ahead near the 10-yard line.
That's what we call a key buster. Chad Abrams normally the lead blocker right there, and just to throw things off with that BC Eagle defense, you give him the ball with Wilder leading.
His 3rd carry of the year, the former safety, now a fullback, and Jimbo Fisher thinks he's an NFL fullback. When we talked to the coach during the week, he raved about a lot of his players, but his highest praise was for Abram. Play action pass. Winston has time, man wide open. Abram juggling catch and a touchdown for Florida State. Coach Fisher also said he might have the best hands on the team. It didn't look like it for part of that play, but he held on for the touchdown, his first of the year.
Well, it's all set up by the run, just a little play action. And you see right there, Rossentano, the safety, has him in coverage, got caught up in a run fake, and it's easy pitch and catch for Winston to Abram. He's a good football player. Watching him on film, outstanding true fullback.
And the extra point good. Florida State has rallied from 14 down to tie it with 1:49 to go in the first half. Back in Boston, tied at 17. Florida State 3-0, trailed 17-3. First touchdown of Chad Abrams' career has now tied it up. 10-yard pass as they went 80 yards in 7 plays, very impressively. Winston was 4 out of 4 passing on the drive. Aguayo kicks off. Miles Willis takes a knee again. Tells Dudek, okay, I heard you the first time.
He needs to run it out.
Tonight on ABC Saturday Night Football, it's the longest winning streak in the nation, 16 straight for Ohio State, on the line against the talented opponent, Wisconsin. They should be undefeated, but victimized by what happened out there in the desert. Number 23 Wisconsin, number 4 Ohio State tonight, presented by Windows, 8 Eastern, 5 Pacific on ABC.
It's a return of Braxton Miller. People ask who you should start. You should start Braxton Miller. You don't take 1,500 on the ground and 2,500 in the air off the field. Although Kenny Guyton certainly performed well for the Buckeyes.
Andre Williams, and it looks like the Seminole defense said, okay, we had enough of this stuff. You're not going to run it down our throats anymore. Telvin Smith made the stop for Florida State. Jeremy Pruitt's fired up.
Again, that's some adjustments, because that's a look that they haven't seen. When you have 4 offensive linemen to the left of the center, now they're moving people and slanting people to that side of the line, leaving a free player like Telvin Smith to make the tackle.
Jeremy Pruitt, first year at Florida State, 39 years old, was the defensive backfield coach under Nick Saban at Alabama the last 3 years. This is his first job as a defensive coordinator. But in Nick Saban with Kirby Smart, he has studied under some of the best. He's been around it his whole life. His dad is a high school football coach in Alabama, still coaching at Plainview High School up in Rainsville, Alabama, in the northeast corner of the state. Sorry to report that the Bears lost last night. Jeremy's son, Jace, is the quarterback for his dad, Dale Pruitt. So dad coaching grandson. And Jeremy Pruitt says he has a chance to watch the highlights on Friday nights late on that video system Huddle that you use to watch your son Noah's games.
Yeah, they had a tough loss, and so did Jeremy's son had a tough loss. But I asked him, he's getting more nervous for your son or for your team? He said, definitely for my son, and I know what he means.
And Dale Pruitt told Jeremy Pruitt, you're the worst parent of any player I've had in 30-plus years of coaching. Williams planted at the line of scrimmage. And Florida State, knowing it has momentum on its side, using its timeouts here now. First 17 rushes for Williams went for 101 yards. The last 4 rushes have been -1, -1, -1, and 0. Tonight on ESPN, undefeated SEC West rivals are squaring off in Tuscaloosa. Speaking of the Crimson Tide, number 1 in the country, hosting number 21 Ole Miss. That's presented by Hampton Hotels. College football primetime tonight, 6:30 on ESPN. Of course, live on Watch ESPN. And a rough rivalry, particularly in recent years for Ole Miss. Haven't won in Alabama, at Alabama since 1988.
I think I saw Desmond pick Ole Miss today for the upset. I don't see it. I mean, I think Alabama, there's a lot of criticism about how they're winning. I think they're as good as ever. They're outstanding on defense. And A.J. McCarron can throw the deep ball.
Well, if you're BC, you're hanging your hat on power football. They're stuffing it now. Are there adjustments you can make? Or do you have to hope you go back to winning the battles as they did earlier? Very conservative play here on 3rd down and long. Inside handoff to Miles Willis. Florida State doesn't have any timeouts left. And BC will let the clock run down as long as it can before punting. It'll go under a minute to go in all likelihood. Seminoles starting to win 3rd down. BC is 0 for its last 4 on 3rd down.
And I think there's adjustments that you can make, and one of them to loosen them up, Sean, is to go off the play action, and they showed they were being conservative. A lot of time left. You're at home. You got to go ahead and take shots down the field and give Chase Reddick a chance to compete. He can throw the ball. Let him throw it in that situation.
Steve Addazio is going to let the clock go all the way down and use the timeout. I understand why he's conservative there. If you told him to be 17 all at the half, you have 30 minutes to go to try to pull off the upset, I think he'd take it. You don't want to make the big mistake with a team that has very few players on the perimeter. You know, you'd like to get it to the outside to a guy like Amadon, but other than that, he's about their only choice.
Well, and Chase is only looking there, and there's 2 schools of thought on that, and I certainly understand where you want to protect the football, not make the big mistake, but you also want to say, well, can we make some plays through play action, at least on that situation? But he chose a conservative route, which is not a bad way to go.
And an impressive bounce back by Jameis Winston. We talked about the opener against Pittsburgh. The Panthers had some good moments at the start of that game, took the early lead. Winston wasn't phased in his college debut, and after a rough start for really their entire team, he has found a rhythm, and it seems like the Seminoles have on both sides of the ball.
Yeah, and the beautiful thing about his rhythm is he has a lot of weapons to throw the ball to, and he trusts them all, and they use them all. That's the difference between the Florida State offense and the BC offense, is the amount of weapons you can use.
Nate Freeze, short punt, Kenny Shaw, fair catch, 40-yard line. Excellent field position, 50 seconds, no timeouts with which to work for the freshman Winston. Showed you some highlights earlier from his rough start. It helps when a receiver is wide open about 30 yards downfield. That was the big play that turned the momentum in this game.
And also using his legs to keep the chains moving, and this is the throw that I love. From the opposite hash to the out to Abram for the touchdown. Just a good football player, and I thought the coaches managed him well. He seemed a little frustrated, but Jimbo got in his ear and said, it's okay, calm down, go play, and he's done that.
Winston in trouble. Whoa, almost threw it left-handed. That might not have been a good idea. Kasim Edebali yanked him down, the senior team captain who's from Germany.
Well, Kasim is going to come off the corner, and that's a nice swim. And right here you see the strength of Winston, and almost a bad decision, but that's what Winston will do. He's so strong, but Kasim did a good job of finishing him off, and that's what part of Coach Brown's game plan was. If you got a shot, get him down.
Now with poor field position, they go to the run, and plenty of room for Devontae Freeman. He got back to the 45-yard line. It'll be 3rd down and 5, but the time is about to run out here in the half. Trying to get a play in quickly. 2 seconds, 1. They just do snap it. Winston stays on his feet. Launches one in a single coverage. And it is caught on the final play of the half by Kenny Shaw.
When you have a chance to get him on the ground, you got to get him on the ground because he's this strong and this talented, and the arm strength with somebody in his face. And Shaw goes up and does a great job of this arm strength and hand strength.
The extra point good by Aguayo. Stunning ending to the half. They barely did get the snap off. Winston, we talked earlier, that was a huge concern for the BC coaches. When they had a chance to get him on the ground, they needed to do it. They didn't. He threw it about 55 yards in the air for the touchdown. Here's Shannon.
Coach, obviously not the way you want to go into halftime. How does that affect your emotions going in there talking to the guys?
My emotions are going to be strong. We're going in there. We're steel resolved. We played our tails off in the first half. We're going to go in there. We're going to rally them up. We're going to come out strong in the second half.
I saw you on the sideline shaking your head. What kind of adjustments do you have in mind for the second half to build momentum?
We're going to stay in our game plan. Our game plan is we're going to come after them in the run game. We're going to pick our spots with some tempo. We're going to throw some play action game. We got to stay aggressive on defense. The real job is going in halftime right now and coming back out here on fire.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you.
They had everything going their way for a lot of that first half, dominated the quarter. He's going to have a sales job to do in that locker room, particularly after this crushing play for his team. Kenny Shaw, the touchdown reception, and Florida State leads for the first time. They dominated the first quarter, led 14-3, and then Jameis Winston rallied Florida State. After 52 yards in the first quarter, the Seminoles had 208 yards in the second quarter, outscored BC 21-3 in the second. They lead 24-7 at the half. Here's a look at our good hands play brought to you by Allstate. In case there's any controversy, let's go back to the start of the last play of the half. They clearly snapped the ball with time left on the clock, so that is not an issue. And then Winston and Shaw.
See the strength of Winston right here, and this is also hand strength by Shaw. Gets away with a little bit of push off, and they usually let that go. Just had the hand right there to create a little space and the hand strength to haul it in. Great Hail Mary pass for the Seminoles. Give them momentum heading into halftime.
The Eagles have seen that before. Last year, Kenny Shaw had a 77-yard touchdown in their win over Boston College in Tallahassee. Had 125 yards receiving in that game on 2 catches. Roberto Aguayo kicks off. Miles Willis will run this one back since he started at the 5. Here he goes. One man can't catch him. And he did. LaMarcus Joyner saved the touchdown. Well, Steve Addazio said he would get his team fired up, make sure they stayed up at the half, and they come out with a huge play to begin the second half.
Well, this is a third return at a set up field position for the Eagles. And right here, but you see Joyner with that speed chasing Miles down, but well executed again on the blocking from BC. Nobody blocking behind the ball, nobody blocking in the back, and Joyner was able to save the day.
71-yard return for the freshman, by far the longest kickoff return of the year for BC. The previous long just 30. Reddick comes out, zings one to Alex Hamadon, but he has nowhere to run. Ran right into Terrence Brooks. Loss of a yard back to the 26. Here's Shannon Spake.
They took their best shot and we responded. That's what Jimbo Fisher told his guys in the locker room, and certainly can apply to what we just saw here moments ago. He told his guys, now we have to come out here. We have to keep our poise and we have to play our game. As far as the process of getting Jameis Winston calmed down, Jimbo Fisher said no process at all. We just finally protected him.
Second and 11. Chase Reddick. 7 out of 8 in the first half. They set up a screen to Hamadon, and he got the yard back. Jalen Ramsey on him very quickly.
That's not who they are. And every pass that Reddick has thrown, at least on a drop back situation, has been the number 83, Hamadon. They have to be able to throw the ball downfield to other receivers. That should be something that they implement into their game plan moving forward.
Steve Addazio told Shannon we have to stick with our game plan, run the football. And they come out with 2 quick throws to their best receiver, Hamadon. Likely a third straight throw. on 3rd down and 10. Quick pass to Miles Willis, and he's chopped down in the open field by P.J. Williams. There is a flag down on the play.
I think we're going to get a late hit, Sean, on Reddick.
Pat Garvey is the referee, maximizing his airtime.
Personal foul. Defense roughing the passer, number 31. Half a distance to the goal line, automatic first down.
It's a zone blitz from the safety, Terrence Brooks, coming off the corner. Coming in here, zeroing in. It's a little quick flare pass. Now you got to pull off, and that's just the rules. And that's the nature of the game. Terrence knows that. You see that little double head tap, mental error. He's a tough player and a good player, and he'll come back.
Not vicious, but in this day and age, it's going to be called every time from the 12-yard line. Big break for Boston College. They go back to Andre Williams, and he runs right into Dan Hicks. Senior from Oxford, Mississippi. First-year starter at linebacker. He's been a tight end, a defensive end, and now a linebacker.
Well, you have to come with some type of play action off that. Why? Because you're taking Hicks, who's the outside contained player, and he's screaming down that line of scrimmage, and you're not accounting for him as far as blocking the backside. That's why he's able to make the play on touch. Look for play action as we progress into this game.
Williams was over 100 yards rushing for the day. Now he's down to 97. They've started to stuff him with regularity. Reddick, a fake, a throw, corner of the end zone. Too far for Jake Sinkovic. P.J. Williams had the coverage.
You know, one of the things about making a little play action work is that you have to sell it. That's not much of a sell for Coach Adazio's offense. There's no hand action, fake action by the quarterback, so none of the DBs or linebackers are jumping up to play the run.
Steve talked about that yesterday. In order to be a really good play action team, the quarterback has to do that part of it. The offensive linemen have to sell it. They have to stay low. They can't jump up and give away the fact it's going to be a pass. 3rd down and 12 from the 14-yard line. Reddick, inside handoff to Williams, and he's down at the 6. Ran into one of his own offensive linemen along the way, and Nate Andrews, the true freshman, will be credited with the tackle, and the field goal unit comes on.
Boy, Nate Andrews saves the day right here, along with Gallick, the center, who knocks him into Nate Andrews.
There's Nate Freeze on for a field goal try, 1 for 1 today. From 24 yards, this is from 24 again. And it is good. The BC scores on its opening possession of the second half. Matt Kenseth is the points leader now after he's 2 for 2 in the chase for the Sprint Cup. He's lengthened his lead over Kyle Busch and Jimmy Johnson. Still 8 races to go, but Kenseth is trying to make it 3 for 3 as the chase for the NASCAR Sprint Cup continues tomorrow at Dover in Delaware. That's at 1 o'clock on ESPN, also live on Watch ESPN.
Also known as the Monster Mile.
Also known as that to Shannon, who told you that yesterday. Which doubled your knowledge of NASCAR. Nate Freeze kicks off. His field goal ended a stretch of 21 unanswered points scored by Florida State. Whitfield took a knee, and that 21 straight points led by Jameis Winston. First touchdown was to a wide open Rashad Green.
Abrams on the fullback flat. Winston reading it. Showing the strength.
This was the biggest play of the game right now. Last play of the half looked like time would expire with the game tied. But he threw the bomb to Kenny Shaw. 9 for 10 after that 0 for 3 start. Of course, after he threw his only interception in there against Nevada, he completed 13 passes in a row. And he's on target with that one. Kenny Shaw again. For the second year in a row, a Boston College killer. That goes to the 42 for a gain of 17.
And here they go with their tempo offense, and Jameis is in rhythm, knowing right where he's going, understanding the weakness of the defense. And again, Sean, he's so on target that the receiver can transition in a run right after catch where they don't have to readjust their feet.
BC was very aggressive on defense early, rushed 5 regularly with success. They come after him here. Winston trying to run away. Just did get it off, and it's incomplete. It hit Kelvin Benjamin along the far sideline. He couldn't hang on. Kenny Shaw was also nearby. But for the most part today, the pressure has been working for Boston College. Mehdi Abdesmad is the injured player, the junior from Montreal.
Good player and a presence for them in the middle. If he's out, that's tough to come back from.
There he is. Gets blocked. Ooh, to the head by Nick O'Leary.
No. Again, that would, wonder if that would fall under the guise of defenseless player.
We certainly didn't see O'Leary.
You don't blame O'Leary. He's doing his job, and I don't know if he was going. Looked like the shoulder caught him high. Didn't launch into him. Kind of just dipped that shoulder.
And it looks like a leg injury anyway, even
Yeah.
though there was contact, it seemed, with the head. Yeah, I'd say that's targeting. And he goes down to a crouch, almost launches himself in there and hits him right in the helmet. Looks like he injured his left knee.
You know, targeting is going to be tough to identify away from the football, Sean. That's where it can come in.
Mm-hmm. Well, the bottom part of it to me would be what jumps out, not the part in blue, but targeting of any opponent with contact to any part of the body when initiated with the crown of the helmet.
Yeah.
You know, we review clips. Rogers Redding, the national coordinator officials, nice enough. Just about every week we get clips from games of what is targeting, what isn't targeting, what was called targeting but shouldn't have been, what wasn't. Yeah, I can't even keep track of it. And the more they explain it, the less I think I understand it.
It's so subjective, though, too. And again, things happen away from the ball.
Winston throwing a deep ball. Too deep for Rashad Green. Bryce Jones running in coverage. It'll be 3rd down and 10. And the biggest part of it that I don't understand, which wasn't applicable there, was this notion that replay can determine that it wasn't targeting, but the 15-yard penalty stands.
Even though it wasn't a penalty.
Even though the booth says it wasn't a penalty. We're not going to eject you, but we're still going to charge you the 15 yards.
And I'm anxious to hear the reason why. I guess they don't want to open a can of worms up for all personal fouls. I don't know. They've already opened it up as far as I'm concerned.
They're afraid, I guess, then, okay, well, let's go back and overturn holding penalties and that sort of thing, but it doesn't make any sense. Winston got it off, and it's caught by Benjamin with Bryce Jones right there, and with all kinds of BC players in the face of Jameis Winston.
Well, Don Brown, the defensive coordinator, is going back to what works in the first half, but I'm going to emphasize again the strength of Jameis Winston. He's a younger Ben Roethlisberger, able to keep his feet with guys hanging on him there, 300 pounds, and throwing darts. That's what makes him a difference maker.
A huge 3rd down conversion. Back to the run with Devontae Freeman. But very little run success today. Josh Keyes made the tackle. But one of the big plays to me, Chris, that will probably go largely unnoticed of the first half was the run by Freeman right before the half, the second to last play of the half. He got about 14 yards and set up that Hail Mary pass.
Enough to throw 55 yards.
2nd and 5. They're in, for the very least, field goal range. Good cut by Wilder. And I think you're starting to see, as he gets the 1st down, the lack of depth for Boston College on defense. There's some tired-looking attempts to make tackles now.
Yeah, and, you know, teams with depth roll 8 defensive linemen. Boston College can go 5. And remember, they lost one in Abdesmian.
Ryan Mahalik is in as a backup there, number 99.
6'9".
283-pound defensive end. Winston, again, they bring more rushers. He dumps it off in the flat. Abrams slid across the boundary over there at the 18-yard line.
This is where I think Jameis Winston's ahead of being able to recognize defenses. We talked to Jimbo Fisher during the week. He said he needs to get a little bit better of going through his progressions. Well, he's gotten better, and you could see that. And they've had a good week of practice, and when he has a good week of practice and he can bring it on the game field, Jimbo Fisher gets more confident in what he can call for that young man.
I know you love the old-fashioned neck roll on Chad Abrams as well. Freeman trying to get around the corner. He has a first down at the 10. Matter of fact, Giorgio Newberry, the tight end, calls Chad Abrams Big Pad Chad because he wears that neck roll. That's just what your traps look like without padding.
Exactly.
You like to say I can't hear you because my traps are blocking my ears.
Well, he can hear me because he's a fullback is a collision position. And he's a collision player. That's why he has all that protection. I don't know if it didn't do me any good. My career ended with a neck injury. I used to wear that. Didn't work.
First and goal. Winston off the fake. Throws to the end zone. It is caught. Touchdown, Rashad Green.
Green's going to run that corner, but the point I want to make here is make the easy throw or make the hard throw. When you have it going, you have rhythm, you make the hard throw into the end zone. Exactly what Winston did, hitting Green in stride, only where he can get it, because it's not bad coverage, but when you're on target, that's what happens. Confidence.
The extra point good by Roberto Aguayo. 4 touchdown passes now for Jameis Winston. He and the Knowles started slowly, but they're taking control of the festivities here in Boston. Around Alumni Stadium to Doug Flutie, including that statue you saw unveiled in 2008, memorializing his famous Hail Mary play. One of the most famous in college football history. That play at the end of the half when Florida State scored today had many thinking back to that Hail Mary play. David Dudek just got to the 14-yard line against that inspired Seminole coverage team. Here's a look back. November 23rd, 1984 in the Orange Bowl. Final seconds. Play that came to be known as the Miracle in Miami. Gerard Phelan as time expired. An unbelievable 47-45 win for BC. And it really changed, in many ways, this university. All kinds with their success in the Flutie era. Applications went way up. Academic standards went way up. They built a lot of facilities around here with the bowl money and the TV revenue. This has become a very popular school, very difficult school to get into. You have to be a very bright young person to get into BC. Timmy Jernigan drops Andre Williams after a gain of about 2. That's part of what Steve Dazio's selling, too, is the academic reputation of the school.
Well, I mean, if you just pay a visit here, it's beautiful. It's in a great city, the hub of the universe, as it likes to refer to itself as.
Was that a little slap at my hometown here? Andre Williams. First down. DeMarcus Joyner and Jalen Ramsey combine on the stop. One of the few times Williams has had some running room since the first quarter. BC's going to go quickly up to the line of scrimmage.
Again, right there, Andre Williams, one cut and done, downhill.
Here's Amadon on the end around. Gets yanked down by Terrence Brooks at the 29-yard line.
You know, I like the tempo that BC is operating, understanding they got to get some type of rhythm. The problem they have is the Florida State depth because they just running fresh bodies out there.
And BC has very little depth. Williams ahead for about a yard. Ran into DeMonte McAllister. We talk about depth. He's a backup defensive lineman, limping a bit, senior from Tampa. And they lost a lot of talent from last year's team. Florida State had 11 players drafted, more than any school in the country, 6 of them off the defense, including first-round picks. Bjorn Werner now with the Indy Colts, and Xavier Rhodes, the cornerback drafted by your brother, Rick Spielman, GM of the Minnesota Vikings.
And they just are young, and they're only going to get better and better as they get used to Jeremy Pruitt. And the more game reps they get, the better they will get.
3rd down and 6. Reddick with plenty of time, and it's incomplete. Intended for Amidon, not a good throw. Too far ahead of him. 4th down and 6, and they'll punt. Midway through the 3rd quarter.
Just no threat of any passing game whatsoever, Sean, and it just allows Florida State to line up and play man and stack the box to stop the run.
And that's certainly true. The better throw that could have been completed. Nate Freeze on to punt. Kenny Shaw waiting at his own 30-yard line. Short. Fair catch made at the 40. 31-yard punt. We're midway through the 3rd quarter. Tonight on ESPN, number 21 Ole Miss in Tuscaloosa to take on the defending national champs, number 1 Alabama. College football primetime presented by Hampton Hotels tonight at 6:30 on ESPN. Also live on Watch ESPN.
Hugh Freeze taking the Rebs in there. They'll be ready for him.
Doing an excellent job at Ole Miss, Coach Freeze, building up the talent level very quickly. Jameis Winston starts in the gun, throws to Benjamin, wasn't on target. Stephen Daniels was right there. Still Winston, 11 for his last 14. Here's Shannon.
Well, several times in the game, guys, I have heard Ben Albert, the line coach, a defensive line coach for Boston College, tell his players it's all about maintaining for 60 minutes. His message just moments ago was we have to manage the moment. This is not going to be easy. You have to go out and you have to take it.
Quick swing to Kenny Shaw, and he's out of bounds close to another 1st down. They're going to mark it at the 49, about a yard short. Chased out by Sean Sylvia, the safety.
Would have been a better play. Bryce Jones, the corner, has to force that ball back inside. Benjamin does a good job of cutting him down, allowing a 9-yard gain.
I know Winston has found a rhythm, but you're surprised they haven't tried to mix in the run a bit more often. They've rushed for just 62 yards.
Yeah. Well, I think they're going with what works.
They have BC on the ropes trying to knock them out with what's been their best stuff today. James Wilder to the 44 of BC and a 1st down. Here's Robert Flores.
Hey, Sean, Taco Bell, Liv Moss moment. Early 2nd half at South Bend. Irish down 21-7 until George Atkinson, the 3rd 80-yard touchdown. But Oklahoma has answered with a field goal, and they're still up 10, 3rd quarter in South Bend.
All right, Robert, thank you. 1st and 10, Florida State. Carlos Williams in at running back now. Just moved over from safety a couple of weeks ago, and all he's done is average more than 11 yards per carry. They faked it to him. Winston kept it and got about 9.5. Spencer Rossitano made the tackle.
You're talking about the running game. Well, one guy right now with the game kind of going your way and not looking to change, I wouldn't let Jameis Winston run the football. I think you protect yourself. Get him hurt. He's as good as advertised.
He takes off running. Has the 1st down. Well, in recent history, there is precedent for a redshirt freshman quarterback winning the Heisman. I know it's only his 4th game, leading the country in completion percentage. And based on what we saw here today, I mean, he was the dominant figure in this game.
The precedent's been set, and I think, Sean, he's as good as that I've seen as far as accuracy. And the thing I'm impressed with is his strength in the pocket and his arm strength, and able to have guys hanging on your legs to throw darts like that.
Well, I think at the very least he needs to be on the list of candidates. He lofts it up, intended for Carlos Williams, and there's a flag down. Steele DeVito, the linebacker, collided with Williams.
I think he's in the conversation.
Pass interference, defense, number 4. Penalty be accepted, automatic first down.
Well, DeVito's there, but doesn't play the ball. Second pass interference penalty of the game against Boston College. First and 10, Seminoles at the 16-yard line. Carlos Williams again, the running back. Powerful runner. He was a defensive back, wanted to play defense. They had some depth issues at running back behind Freeman and Wilder. And Jimbo Fisher said, I've been after him for a couple years to play offense. Finally, the young man said he would. Jimbo said, I'm not about trying to make guys change positions if they don't want to. And all he's done, as we said, is average 11 yards per carry.
It's unusual for a coach to let the player make the decision. Now, imagine he strongly encourages one decision one way or another.
Carlos Williams, well, he's 6'1", 230, and he can really fly. One of the fastest players on the team. Well, he believes, does Coach Fisher, that Carlos Williams is one of those guys who's a threat to score every time he touches the ball.
He's a one-cut and north and south guy. As soon as he gets it straight up the gut, much like James Wilder Jr.
His first carry was against Nevada. He went 65 yards for a touchdown, and nobody touched him. Ran for 110 in that game, followed up with 83 last week and a couple scores against Bethune-Cookman. He's down to the goal line. Seminoles think he's in. Officials do not concur. Second and goal from inside the 1.
Again, we'll follow number 41, Chad Abram. See if he'll put his neck roll to use here. Good fullback. Kind of the lost position.
They do follow Abram. Williams to the goal line. Touchdown, Florida State.
It's a valiant effort by the Eagles. They're too high on that. Anytime you're trying to play goal line defense, the defensive line has to take out the legs of the offensive lineman. They don't do it. A good push led by Chad Abram.
They're marching up and down the field now.
The ruling on the field is a touchdown. The previous play is under further review.
How can you make that call from over here? Steve Addazio's asking.
Look to see with all those bodies.
I'm not sure how either official right along the goal line could tell. There's about the view that the official Steve Addazio was questioning had.
Don't know what hand that ball is in.
Yeah, I don't know how
tough.
he sees the football. Well, from there it looks like a touchdown. I don't think there's enough to overturn it.
After further review, the ruling on the field stands. Touchdown.
So they go 60 yards in 9 plays. And Williams, the junior from Davenport, Florida, scores the touchdown. It's not as if he was not a good defensive back. He's a very good defensive player. And he's on the offense now, even with the injury this week to their starting safety, Tyler Hunter. We asked the coaches, might you put Carlos Williams back over there? He said no. He is an offensive player and a good one. Aguayo's extra point makes it 38-20. 3:42 to go, third quarter. Here's our Pacific Life game summary. Boston College dominated the first quarter, led 14-3. Big Sinkovic, his first touch of the year, wound up in the end zone. But Jameis Winston is brought back Florida State. 4 touchdown passes, several times keeping plays alive, including the most important play of the game, the Hail Mary pass on the last play of the first half that gave them a 7-point lead, their first lead of the game.
Yeah, really a backbreaker for the BC Eagles, no matter what type of pep talk Coach Addazio was giving the Eagles. When you got a guy that's hot and in rhythm, then you surround him with the talent that Florida State has, that's a dangerous combination.
5 touchdowns the last 6 possessions for the Noles. Aguayo kicks off. Miles Willis brought one back 71 yards, the opening kickoff of the second half. Yanked down short of the 25-yard line. Kemi Ligwe made the tackle. Tonight, Saturday Night Football on ABC. Ohio State, winners of 16 in a row, still haven't lost under Urban Meyer, taking on the Badgers, again with a prolific running attack. They're averaging 350 yards a game rushing. Would that qualify as prolific?
Absolutely. It's amazing they don't change. Coach Anderson comes in, same type of offense, same identity. 3 backs on pace to break 1,000 yards for the Badgers.
Chase Rettig out throwing, far sideline. Miles Willis up the boundary, tackled by fellow true freshman Jalen Ramsey. That's been an important game in recent years, since 2005. Ohio State or Wisconsin, one or the other, has had at least a share of the Big Ten title every year since then.
I think Wisconsin is kind of underappreciated. What Coach Bielema did down there, and the ability to win Big Ten championships, and what they did in Nebraska in the Big Ten championship game last year. But they know who they are, Sean. They're going to punch you in the mouth, and that's what they do.
Willis, the ball carrier, gets a first down. He's from Conyers, Georgia. They believe they can recruit nationally based on what Chris was talking about earlier, the academic reputation of the school, playing in the ACC, being in the city of Boston.
Steve Addazio serves as his own recruiting coordinator. So, I mean, he's taking charge and ownership of this program. He has the energy to do it, and he can recruit. He certainly did well in recruiting when he was at Florida.
And he's made his assistant coaches, as Ryan Day, the offensive coordinator, said, a little uncomfortable with his intensity. He doesn't want anybody to be comfortable. He comes in every morning. He wants to know which recruits the assistants have talked to. Good pressure provided by Telvin Smith. He wants those assistant coaches walking in his office with the cell phone in hand, ready to have the head coach talk to some of these recruits. Don Brown, the defensive coordinator.
He had to get out of his comfort zone too, right? Getting into the social media, Vines, Facebooks, tweets.
He said he didn't know anything about any of those things, but realized in this day and age, that's largely how young people communicate. If you want to communicate with them, you need to get on board. 2nd and 10. Rettig. Oh, late hit out of bounds. Christian Jones is going to be flagged. And he raises his hands. Didn't want, that's not the place you want to get in the battle on the other team's sideline.
I've been there. And I made a fatal mistake of challenging them all. Next thing I know, I'm getting kicked and punched in the ribs. But that's okay. Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
I don't think anybody on our crew is surprised by that story.
Personal foul, unnecessary roughness, defense, number 7. 15-yard penalty, automatic first down.
I don't think this is malicious. Anyway. Because you're a defensive coordinator, Sean, he's still in bounds and you live with it. Maybe the hand to the head. Who knows anymore? If it's close, throw the flag. It's the world we live in. What do you want me to do about it?
Play action pass for Chase Rettig. Has a man wide open. It is caught. Miles Willis inside the 5. Touchdown, Boston College. "52 yards. That's the longest completion of the season for Chase Rettig. First touchdown for BC since the first quarter. Nate Freeze for the extra point. It's the first touchdown of his career for the freshman, Miles Willis.
Wheel route out of the backfield is designed to get a running back lined up with a 260-pound outside linebacker Hicks. Miles Willis is going to come out in the wheel route. This is execution. This is matchups. This is game plan. Well done by Chase Reddick. Well done by Coach Day to be able to design a play to get a matchup they want, and they'll take it all day. Speedy tailback on a 260-pound linebacker. The matchup is no matchup.
Memory he'll always have. His first career touchdown. Reddick's thrown 3 touchdown passes today. He's only thrown 15 balls, but 3 of them have wound up in the end zone. And they're still hanging around. It's BC in just a minute and a half, goes 79 yards. Helped by the late hit on Reddick by Christian Jones.
That's a direct reflection of the head coach. And hanging in there and fighting and making a play, no matter what the score.
Nate Freeze. Kermit Whitfield runs it out from the middle of the end zone. And he's down at the 17. That decision didn't work out. Josh Keyes leading the kickoff coverage for Boston College. And Florida State, having scored touchdowns in 5 of its last 6 possessions, needs to keep the pedal to the metal here.
Yeah, and conversely, the Eagle defense needs to find their second wind to rise to the challenge. And they've been beaten and battered in this second half because of the lack of depth. But now you prove your toughness.
Winston 14 out of 21 passing for 282 and 4 touchdowns. He's run for 25 yards. Kept several plays alive with his strength, fending off tacklers. Going deep and has a man behind the defense. Benjamin across midfield. Pulled down by C.J. Jones, a backup cornerback, at the 42-yard line of Boston College.
So you make a throw where it's a dart. Then you're able to throw the touch pass right over the top into the breadbasket of your big target, Benjamin. And a good read, man-to-man coverage. Goes right to the target he likes in Benjamin, one-on-one on the outside.
Benjamin has had catches of 38, 24, now 41. Winston put some touch on it over the head of Rashad Green. Again, C.J. Jones in coverage. He's a backup, and they're trying to take advantage of him.
I like the aggressiveness of Jimbo Fisher. I mean, you would think they would go back to the running game and kind of establish it, but no, he comes out and it's attack, attack, attack. And that's confidence in his quarterback, Jameis Winston, and how he calls the game is the confidence that he has in his quarterback.
2nd and 10. Devontae Freeman is the running back. Nowhere to run. Dropped for about a 2-yard loss. Josh Keyes. He's been a backup until this week, but he's not playing backup minutes anymore. He's too much of a productive playmaker.
You're going to see what Don Brown's going to do here. Is he going to blitz? He's able to get pressure with blitz, or is he going to drop 8 and play 3? Let's see if I can decipher that. I think he's coming. I think you got to come. You've had success. You got the crowd. Go get him.
They rush 4. Winston takes off running. Gets a block and has the first down and much more. Out of bounds at the 24-yard line.
That's why I think, Sean, you want to blitz in that situation to take away not only throwing lanes, but this, running lanes. Winston has already hurt you early in the game with his feet, and he does it again, keeping a drive alive. That's why you blitz, to take those lanes away.
Devontae Freeman at 5'9" stuck his face in there to give him a key block at the end of the run. He got 20 on 3rd and 13. Now Freeman slicing and running over defenders inside the 10. Taken out of bounds. Kevin Kavalik, true freshman, made the tackle.
Well, pound for pound, one of the toughest guys running the football that I've seen on film. You see right there, putting a hammer down on Rossitano, the safety coming up. You better run like that if you're going to play, because they have a host of guys waiting to carry the ball behind you.
First and goal, and a nice tackle in the open field by Manuel Esprilla to take down Christian Green. That'll get us to the end of the third quarter. Number 8, Florida State, trying to go to 4-0. Leads by 11, and they're poised to add to that lead as we go to the fourth quarter in Chestnut Hill, Massachusetts. Back at Alumni Stadium on the campus of Boston College in Chestnut Hill, Massachusetts, just outside the city of Boston. Entertaining game. Florida State leading by 11 as we go to the fourth quarter, trying to add to that. They're at the Boston College 12-yard line. Second and goal. Winston a little bit too high for Nick O'Leary. Josh Keyes had the coverage.
They like Nick down here in the red zone. 3 touchdowns this year. 7 for his career. Good player. He's becoming a better blocker for Jimbo Fisher's offense.
The grandson of the great Jack Nicklaus. I think Winston might want a mulligan on that throw, just a little bit too high. And I really wish you had said that. Third and goal. Only a 3-man rush. Winston crossed the line of scrimmage. And Keyes gets him on the ground at the 3. Well, that's a big stop for the BC defense, because a touchdown would have made it a 3-score game. A field goal here keeps Boston College within 2 touchdowns. And Aguayo is going to come on to try a short one. It'll be about 20 or 21 yards from an angle from the left hash mark. Kenny Shaw hobbling a bit as he came off.
We saw the Oklahoma State kicker bang one off the upright from this distance, so it is possible.
Kick is good. Talk about Jack Nicklaus. That's a gimme for Roberto Aguayo. 14-point lead for the Noles. After the field goal by Roberto Aguayo, Florida State leads by 14. He's 2 for 2 today in field goals, made all 5 extra points. He still has not missed a kick. He's 32 for 32. He's 7 for 7 in field goals in college football and 25 for 25 in PATs. That is the Florida State school record for most kicks made to start a career. Derek Schmidt made the first 29 back in 1984. 22 PATs, 7 field goals. Dave Dudek pulled down at the 16-yard line. Here's Shannon Spake.
Well, Sean, Chris, Chase Redding is refusing to let his team get discouraged right now. While he was on the field, he was standing right on the sideline cheering on the defense. He walked up to his offensive line and he told him there is so much time left in this game. Ryan Day, the new offensive coordinator, said the very first thing he worked on with Redding when he came in was leadership skills, being a better leader, and you can certainly see him stepping up as a leader here tonight.
Yeah, and they need to throw the ball down the field to other receivers besides Amadon to get them involved, to give themselves a chance.
It requires other guys getting open. That pass is deflected at the line and it falls incomplete. Going in the direction, it seemed, of Harrison Jackson, who was batted down by DeMonte McAllister.
He's played a nice game, Sean, and again, you see the luxury that Florida State has is that depth on the defensive line when they're rolling 8 and 9 guys in there. Fresh bodies for fresh pass rush.
Redding 11 for 16 now for 119 yards. Tries to jam it over the middle in the direction of Amadon. Incomplete. Here's Robert.
Hey, Sean, Dr. Pepper 10 conference update. Aaron Murray has thrown 3 touchdowns for Georgia. 2 have been to Michael Bennett. This one puts the Bulldogs up 34-27 on number 6 LSU. Sean.
And as expected, a shootout there. Still a long way to go late in the third quarter. Boston College here is 0 for its last 6 on third down. They haven't converted on third or 8 and longer. Rettig throws, intercepted behind Amadon and picked off by P.J. Williams, who is going to score. Touchdown, Florida State.
Three plays in a row. He's not even looking for any other player. Amadon is not open. P.J. Williams is playing the route. Amadon's not expecting the football. Can't get open. It's a good pass just to the wrong guy, and P.J. Williams using his feet and athletic ability to get a moment he'll remember for the rest of his career.
We got the start today. In the absence of Tyler Hunter, they moved Jalen Ramsey to safety and put Williams in at corner. He's done well. The first turnover of the game, and it's returned 20 yards for a touchdown.
ESPN College Football is presented by the makers of 5-Hour Energy. Take it after lunch. Be clear and alert for hours.
The T, the MBTA, famous transportation system, one of the nation's oldest and busiest. A lot of the fans take the T to Alumni Stadium for home games on Saturdays. Drops them off a very short distance from Alumni Stadium, just a few miles from downtown Boston. Florida State, after the first interception of P.J. Williams' career and the return for the score, now leads by 21. Miles Willis brings it out to the 25-yard line. Oh, Florida State, Chris, came here ranked number 8 in the country, 3-0. Got off to a rocky start. But how do you evaluate this team that right now is kind of looming right there on the periphery of the national championship discussion?
Well, when you have a quarterback like this, you can be in that discussion. The one thing where they need to improve, and they did as the game went on, and they will get better because they're so young, is their defense. But right now their defense is starting to get confidence. They have a lot of depth, and they're only going to get better as Jeremy Pruitt's defense sinks into them and they can understand and execute it at a higher level.
I think what's encouraging for the defense is the way it did adjust and finally shut down the running game after Andre Williams did a lot of what he just did there in the first half. He runs for about 9 there. Legway made the tackle. Here's a look at the top 10 entering this week. Florida State number 8 in both polls, the media poll and the coaches poll. Alabama in action tonight.
A lot of those teams are interchangeable to me, don't you think? I mean, team that's explosive. I mean, I know this is obvious, but Oregon is so explosive offensively. See anybody stopping them?
Miles Willis has the first down. And one of the benefits of this game for Boston College today has been the development of the true freshman Willis. Gave him a 71-yard kickoff return. He's demonstrating now that he is a reliable stand-in, it would seem, for Andre Williams. That one was good for 16.
Well, that'll be valuable as they move throughout the ACC season to have 2 backs to give Andre a rest and a little bit of a change-up. Miles with a little more shake.
Talk about Oregon. A lot of people wondered if that offense would continue to roll once Chip Kelly went to the Philadelphia Eagles. Boy, has it. Rettig is sacked back at the 45-yard line by Eddie Goldman. Mark Helfrich, the new head coach, Scott Frost, the offensive coordinator, have picked up right where Chip Kelly left off, and if anything, have added to it. They're the only school in the country that hasn't committed a turnover.
Yeah.
When you have that kind of firepower like the Ducks have, and you don't turn it over once, it's kind of scary. They've scored at least 50 points in every game this year.
Yeah, and the tempo that they operate too, Sean, with such efficiency, just outstanding.
2nd and 15, under 12 minutes to go. Rettig to Amidon. Worked hard after the catch. Desmond Holland made the tackle. When we talk about Chip Kelly, he coached not long ago, not far up the road at the University of New Hampshire, a little more than an hour from here. Under head coach Sean McDonald, Chip Kelly was the offensive coordinator. And way back when, his quarterback was Ryan Day, who's now the offensive coordinator at Boston College. Ryan said with Chip Kelly, every day was like being in a laboratory. Something different every day. They might line up as a run and shoot team one week and a wing tee team the next. Rettig looking like Jameis Winston there as he stayed on his feet and turned what looked like a loss into a gain. He's a yard short of the first down. P.J. Williams and Nate Andrews combined on the stop. They're going to go for it here on 4th down and 1, as you would expect. There's Ryan Day right of your picture.
Talk about being in the laboratory. He was the chief lab rat, being the quarterback.
And a very good quarterback at UNH. On his 3rd tour of duty as a member of the Boston College staffs. And his primary pupil is Chase Rettig. 4th down and 1. Williams bounces outside. Banged out by Terrence Brooks. First down Boston College as Williams runs all the way to the 17-yard line.
Yeah, P.J. Williams, number 26, gets nosy, which creates the short edge for Williams, who understands how to read this play. This is the old counter tray where you have 2 pullers coming. P.J. Williams has to make that ball bounce inside. If not, Andre Williams knows what to do.
And Jake Sinkovic, the fullback, did a good job of holding there and getting away with it. 24-yard run. He's up to 149 yards, so that's 3 100-yard games for Williams in the 4 BC's played this year. He was stifled by USC last week. Another throw back to an open receiver, C.J. Parsons. Touchdown, his 2nd of the game. His 2nd catch, both have been for scores. Nate Freeze on for the extra point. Well, regardless of the outcome, one thing you can be sure Steve Addazio will be proud of is the effort. He's tried to instill a toughness and a belief. And his team is fighting all the way to the end. Johnny Manziel, Heisman Trophy winner a year ago. Boston College, most points they've ever scored. This is the 12th game all time against Florida State. 34 is the most they've put up against the Seminoles. Florida State has 48, and they'll get the ball back. Steve Addazio likes to kick it deep with nearly 10 minutes to go. Kermit Whitfield takes the knee.
Well, if it worked once, chances are it'll work again. C.J. Parsons on the same route. He's going to hold, delay, then release. And good patience by Rettig to throw the ball across the field for the tight end delay. Well executed, well drawn up. When you play an aggressive defense, anytime you can execute those misdirection plays, it gives you a chance to create an explosive play like they did.
4 touchdown passes by Rettig, a career high. He had thrown 3 touchdown passes in a game 3 times previously. 4 today. High formation now behind Jameis Winston. Trying to run some time. They give it to Carlos Williams. He bangs forward for about 3. Sean Sylvia made the tackle.
Jimbo Fisher would like to see what he calls his best offensive line kind of take over the game right now, establishing that line of scrimmage to eat the clock.
Winston pulls it down. Well, we said earlier, some have questioned his speed, but he has more often than not today been a very effective runner at a time when his team has needed him. Speaking of speed, smooth segue department, the Dover race, the NASCAR Sprint Cup chase continues with Matt Kenseth having won the first 2 races in the chase, but still 8 more to go. It's live tomorrow at 1 on ESPN and also on Watch ESPN. Carlos Williams stood up. And with more on NASCAR, here is our resident expert, Shannon Spake.
Well, Sean, Chris, I got to tell you guys, I feel like a proud mama every time you guys do one of these promos. You guys, listen to you, Chris. You knew it was a Monster Mile.
We're coachable. Yeah. I pay attention to what you say, actually, Shannon. There you go.
I'm glad to hear that.
What? Well, Shannon, of course, big part of our NASCAR coverage throughout the years. Winston, great spin move to get away, buying time. Now pulls it down and runs again.
You know, Sean, what sets Jameis Winston apart is not only his ability and strength to throw the ball with guys hanging on him, but his decision making. Right here, feeling the pressure, spinning around, did not force in the football. Now, the only thing you'd like to see him do right here is kind of slide to keep that clock moving.
It's his 5th first down rushing today. Nearly midway through the 4th quarter now, and movement prior to the snap.
False start. Offense number 54. 5-yard penalty. First down.
Trey Jackson, the junior, right guard. Second team all-conference last year. Jimbo Fisher believes this is the best offensive line they've had. Inexperienced the last couple of years, but not now. They've all had starting experience prior to this year, led by the center Brian Stork, one of the best in the country. Preseason first-team All-ACC, making his 31st career start. Winston swings it out for James Wilder. Pulled down near sideline by Manuel Esprilla at the 44, 5 yards short of the first down. And there's a look at that offensive line.
Size. I mean, it's just amazing how guys are getting bigger and bigger each year.
Hart, even though he's a junior, is just 19 years old. He saw regular action a couple of years ago as a 17-year-old. 2nd and 5, 7 minutes to go. Winston wisely eating up a lot of the play clock. Wilder could not get across the formation. Good penetration by Boston College. Connor Wojak locked him up with help from Bryce Jones.
Big 3rd down now again. Let's see what Don Brown, the defensive coordinator, decides to do. Is he going to bring some pressure to take away those running lanes that Jameis Winston has hurt him previously with?
His defense better get lined up. They are now in position. And a timeout called. It looked like they were lined up, but they didn't like the way they were getting lined up, so they used a timeout. When we talk about Florida State in the national championship equation, certainly they are very much in the picture. And they have a couple of big games coming up. Maryland's off to a terrific start this year, and then the really big one at Clemson with a bye week to get ready for that trip to Death Valley.
And Miami of Florida's playing well. Then you take a look at Syracuse. Don't sleep on the Cuse, Coach Schaefer.
Well, among the games left, I wouldn't say that's their toughest game.
No, but
an alum, I would love to be able to say that and believe it.
And I think they're
that
only
game
going to
at
get
Clemson,
better.
I think, will play obviously going to play a huge part in determining which one of those two teams stays in the national championship picture. Who knows what's going to help elsewhere, but in this day and age for the ACC until it really fully reestablishes itself as a power.
Yeah.
Like they were back in the days when Florida State was winning 10 games every year. Miami was great. One loss probably puts you out of the national championship picture. Deep throw. It is intercepted off the ricochet. Dominique Williams brings it back. First takeaway by the Boston College defense. Dominique Williams, junior from Brockton, Massachusetts, with his first interception of the year.
Well, Boston College was slow coming on the field, but Manuel Asprilla does a good job of fighting back, knocking the ball away from Benjamin. And a good angle by the safety taken by Dominique Williams. And again, field position and opportunity for Boston College. No quit in this team. And again, that is a direct reflection of Coach Adazio and his staff and these kids believing and playing hard all the way through the gun.
Asprilla knocked it away. Williams picked it off, his first career interception. Well, 6:07 to go, down by 2 touchdowns. BC ball. The Eagles at their own 36. Reverse, Alex Amadon. Marcus Joyner pulled him down very near the first down marker. And here's what you're talking about. BC wasn't even lined up after the timeout. Maybe they should try that defense more often.
It seemed the only defense that confused Jameis Winston so far tonight, but it worked out. And again, Asprilla doing a good job of covering ground, getting a throwing lane. Benjamin.
Rettig throws again to Amadon. Stopped right at midfield, has the first down. Jalen Ramsey made the tackle. And this is enough to have Jimbo Fisher still be concerned with plenty of time left. 5.5 minutes to go. They've dug into the playbook today and tried to be creative to find ways to get Amadon the ball. Rettig is sacked back at the 39-yard line. Desmond Holland, junior from Miami, with a huge sack for the Florida State defense.
And Desmond gets an assist from the inside guys of Florida State, getting that good pressure by Jernigan. Pressure up the middle by Jernigan, forcing him to bounce outside into the hands of the waiting Holland.
Loss of 10, second and 20, under 5 minutes to go. Second sack of the day for Florida State. Rettig throws incomplete. Try to zip one over the middle. In the direction of Dan Crimmins. Official stopping the play. We welcome those of you who just watched Iowa defeat Minnesota. We're at Alumni Stadium in Chestnut Hill, Massachusetts. Florida State trying to go to 4-0, leading Boston College by 14. Just under 5 minutes to go. BC third down and 20. Chase Rettig dumped it off short to Alex Amadon. Weaving through the defense. Tripped up by Terrence Brooks. And undoubtedly Steve Adazio will go for it here on 4th down at the Florida State 46. 4th down and 5. For those just joining us, Boston College raced off to a 17-3 lead, and then Florida State came roaring back. Rettig in a must-convert situation for the Eagles. 5-man rush. They move him around, and he got it off for a first down. Just inside the 40 to Brian Miller.
Nice job of Rettig keeping his eyes downfield. Maybe could have run for the first down, but saw Miller flash into his passing lane and deliver a crucial first down throw.
Second catch of the day for Miller. Rettig's thrown a career-high 4 touchdown passes, despite the fact that he's thrown for just 167 yards. BC's rushed for 201 yards against the 8th-ranked team in the country. Good fake by Rettig, and the pass to David Dudek. The officials haven't really made a call yet. BC thinks he had it, and then the ball came out after he hit the ground, and it looks like that's the call. Florida State sideline thinking that should be an incomplete pass as Jalen Ramsey came to deliver a blow to David Dudek.
This was the counter off the screen to Amadon, which we've seen the number tonight. You see Amadon set up for the screen, and Dudek fakes the block and goes downfield.
I don't know if he ever fully had possession of that ball, and the replay booth is going to stop it.
Well, that's close. You can rule down by contact, and is the ball moving in his hands?
Does he have possession? He's down there, so the question just is, does he have possession? Frank Cosman is the replay official. See, it's tough to tell there because he snatches it against his chest, but then we lose sight of the ball to see if it's wobbling around or if he does secure it.
It looks like it was secure when he hit the ground, Sean, and the hit caused the ball to pop out by number 13, Jalen Ramsey.
In which case it would be a catch because he's already down when his knee hits the ground. In college football, you don't need to be touchdown. The hard part is, does he secure it right there when he twists away from the cameras?
You know, you need a lot to overturn it.
The best angle. Yeah, I think that's a catch.
After further review, the ruling on the field is confirmed. It's a completed catch.
Yep, that's what it looked like.
Good call. A good play call, again set up because they ran about 4 screens to Amadon. They faked a screen and hit Dudek on the wheel route running upfield.
Well, the BC coaches said without a lot of great athletes in the perimeter, they have to try to find ways through scheme, play design to make plays, and boy, have they done that today. As athletically, this is a mismatch. Rettig throws, incomplete. Intended for Dan Crimmins, broken up by LaMarcus Joyner, one of the best defensive backs in the country, a safety the last couple of years. He thinks his future is as a cornerback in the NFL, given that he's just 5'8", so he wanted to move back to corner.
That are touchdown saving tackles on kickoff returns, which resulted into a field goal because of his hustle play.
4 down territory for Boston College. With 3:11 to go. They're at the 18-yard line of Florida State. 2nd and 10. Miles Willis out of bounds, short gain. He got 3. P.J. Williams was nearest for Florida State.
You got 2 downs here, so you don't have to get it all at once. You might want to run a little bit of a draw play here, although the clock is moving. You could keep the chains because Florida State's pass rushing really hard upfield. You might be able to pop one. Amadon.
Seminoles show blitz. They bring it. Rettig's in trouble and sacked. Telvin Smith.
Aggressive call by Jeremy Pruitt. And this is what they call a coverage sack, where Telvin Smith's going to hug up on the back. He sees the back, takes himself out by blocking the defender. Then he becomes the pass rusher, replacing the defender that was blocked. The senior making a big play for the Seminole defense.
Boston College has to go for it on 4th down and 13. It's not their style of football, but few options. They have to spread you out, try to make a play. Rettig intercepted at the goal line by Nate Andrews, the true freshman. And a terrific return and a late hit out of bounds as well. Young man getting more action today because of the injury to Tyler Hunter, true freshman out of Fairhope, Alabama, with his first career interception to put the game away for Florida State.
Nate Adams is playing middle linebacker in this defense. It's their dime defense where they have all defensive backs in. He does a good job of getting to the depth of the first down markers and then some, not jumping anything underneath. And an easy catch for the freshman. Exciting moment for him.
Second interception for Florida State. Andrews originally committed to Minnesota, and then changed to Florida State.
After the play ended, personal foul, late hit out of bounds on the passing team. 15-yard penalty, automatic first down.
Right here, Adams is lined up as a middle linebacker. He's going to do a good job of getting depth, understanding the situation in the ball game, not jumping on anything underneath, continuing to get depth, understanding one under, one's behind you, sits in the zone. Big play for the Seminoles, the freshman.
And with the penalty, the ball comes out to the 46-yard line. Reddick had no choice on fourth down, had to try to jam it somewhere. Got intercepted for the second time today. And now the Seminoles will just try to run out the clock on the ground with James Wilder spinning near the 50. Steele DeVito made the tackle. No timeout here yet for Boston College. Down by 2 scores. You wonder if they're just going to let it go. Here's our Pacific Life game summary. It's been that kind of a game as you look at the line score. Both teams have scored in every quarter. Defensive coordinator's nightmare. Florida State up to 498 yards of offense now. BC 385.
You learned about Florida State and how many different ways they can hurt you offensively. They just got to get their ground game going a little bit, which they will.
They rushed for 168 yards, but 74 of those from Winston. A lot of those were not designed runs. He just pulled the ball down in some key situations and ran. BC will call a timeout here with a minute to go. Big game tonight on ABC Saturday Night Football. Ohio State, winners of 16 in a row, the longest winning streak in the nation, hosting Wisconsin. Braxton Miller returns. That's tonight at 8. A little more than an hour from now on ABC. We'll be back in Boston after this. Reunion of friends there. Gary Anderson, the new Wisconsin coach, coach for Urban at Utah. 1 minute to go here. Florida State on its way to a 4-0 start, but they got a real battle today here in Boston. Jameis Winston throws incomplete, intended for Chad Abram. Looked like Winston's knee might have been down, but again the great effort to stay on his feet with Kassim Adebawale, 250-pounder, draped all over him.
Well, again, this is Ben Roethlisberger that can run. The strength of Jameis Winston, and he was down. Yes. Dangerous throw, too. Maybe one of the few poor decisions he's made today.
Boston College called a timeout. Well, the history of Florida State football, those dominant years in the 90s in particular, the record 14 straight seasons of 10 wins or more, and then the program dropped off a little bit in the final years of the legendary Bobby Bowden. Just 2 10-win seasons. 01 through 09, Jimbo Fisher's taken over, won 77% of his games. That's about to go up by percentage. He is the winningest coach in ACC history. He's now 1 win away from tying Ralph Friedgen's record for most wins in his first 4 years as an ACC head coach. This will be number 35. The Fridge won 36 in his first 4 years with the Terps. Jimbo's done an excellent job. A lot of it in recruiting. They have a lot of talent all over the place.
And they just have to avoid that game that they have every year where they lose to an unranked opponent, and that's what's killed them.
And for a while, it looked like that might happen to them here today. Recent years losses to NC State and Virginia, among others. Jason Beatty got it off. Fair catch made by Spiffy Evans. And for Steve Addazio, I think it's pretty much what he expected, that they'd give a great effort, that they'd play as hard as they could. Schematically, they'd have some things that might cause a problem, but at the end of the day, talent versus talent, just not enough talent on the BC side now to play with a team like Florida State for the whole 60 minutes.
And if you break it down even further, it's on the edges, on the outside, and the skill. They don't have enough skill to attack a defense like Florida State all over the football field. They do have a good line and a good running game, and they'll build on this, and no quit in this BC football team.
Miles Willis runs, pulled down short of a first down. Of course, they had the great era as well, 12 straight bowl games. Tom O'Brien did a magnificent job here. What really set this program back was the 2 years that Jeff Jagosinski was the head coach, even though they won a bunch of games because they had the best quarterback in the country, and Matt Ryan. They didn't recruit anybody while he was the head coach. Dan Crimmins makes the catch, and that lack of talent has really shown up in terms of the depth of talent in recent years. Final seconds ticking off. And a hard-fought win by Florida State, down by 14 points, led back by Jameis Winston, who threw for 330 and 4 scores, rushed for 67.